Okay, so we are ready to go to Toya Jackson right now. What would cause Michael Jackson, the young, outgoing, charming singer, the star of the Jackson 5, to turn into a shy, reclusive superstar? Why would the talented and successful Janet Jackson fall into a short and destructive marriage with singer James DeBarge?
Well, according to our next guest, Toya Jackson, it was all the result of the abusive, often violent atmosphere that the siblings had to endure while growing up in the Jackson family.
In her new tell-all book, Toya describes her father's violent behavior, his constant beatings, her mother's control and manipulation, and her own break from the family in her early 20s. Toya Jackson joins us now to discuss all of this. Good morning, Toya.
Good morning, Connie.
Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Would it be true to say that the response to your book so far has been one of complete shock from the many, many, many Jackson fans, your fans, fans of the Jackson 5, fans of Michael Jackson?
I think that a lot of the people don't want to accept the fact that such a loving family and this image that we portrayed, this really happened. They don't want to know that this can happen to a family like us, which is very, very sad, because we're no different than the other family. But what I want them to know, that if it can happen to us, it can happen to anybody, and don't be afraid to speak out.
Is that why you wrote the book, because you're trying to help others who might be going through the same kind of torment?
Do you realize that there are 10 million people that are being abused in America every single year?
Okay, what kind of abuse are we talking about? Were there beatings by your father? Physical abuse?
We're talking about all kinds of abuse. There was physical abuse, mental abuse, and sexual abuse.
Can you elaborate a little bit more? Your father regularly beat the kids? Was it a rehearsal thing? If somebody made a mistake, then there was a violent temper that surfaced very quickly?
Yes, he did that during the times they were rehearsing when they were young and they were grooming themselves to be the Jackson 5. Yes, he would beat them very badly, but it didn't stop there, Connie. It went on and on and on. As adults, my brothers are grown. Even when Michael had done the Off the Wall album, and he was very, very successful, and he's winning awards all over the place, and people see him accepting awards and smiling. Little did they know at the same time, he would go home and my father would slap him around and knock him down. But see, we lived this life that was really a lie. We were always told to smile in front of the public and in the public's eye.
In one place in your book, you talk about your father with a gun, and was not loaded, but he would shoot it. He would pretend to be shooting at the kids.
Yes.
That's insane. That's insanity. It's unfathomable.
Yes, it does seem that way, doesn't it? But it's something that he did quite often, and he would get a pleasure out of it because he would laugh when he would do it. He's a collector of guns, and he would hold them to our heads and pull the trigger and snap them constantly. And my mother sometimes would say, Joe, don't, suppose a bullet is stuck there. And he would say, no, there are no bullets in it. But that's quite frightening to an adult and a child as well.
And you mentioned sexual abuse. Can you give us, elaborate on that for us?
Yes, I can. I can't speak for all of my siblings. I can only speak for myself and my sister, Rebbie. Rebbie often wondered if I was abused because she was sexually abused by my father, and she got very, very tired of it, him getting out of the bed with my mother and getting into the bed with her. And she decided to leave home and live with another family. And she left, and just recently, Rebbie asked me, Toya, I wondered all these years, was he doing the same thing to you and Janet that he was doing to me? Were you guys sexually abused? And I was highly embarrassed. I couldn't answer her. I just ignored it, and she says, please answer me. I have to know. I've been wondering all these years. And she says, Toya, tell me. And I just said, Rebbie, there's certain things that you don't talk about, that you just don't discuss. And she just said, okay, I understand. Now tell me about Janet. And I said, I can't speak about Janet. She's never mentioned anything to me. And I said, and Rebbie and I haven't mentioned anything to you. Because you're so embarrassed of it, and you live with this guilt all your life. And it's sad that you have to live and go through life like this. And my mother knew these things were happening. That's what bothers me more than anything else. Because she would say to my father sometimes, Joe, not tonight. Leave her alone. Let her sleep. Let her rest, Joe. Don't bother her. But I have to say that I have a great deal of respect for my sister, Rebbie, because she fought back. She would fight. She would scream. She would do everything. And she would always tell me that my brothers wouldn't help. They would just pretend like they didn't see it or remain silent because they were afraid of my father.
You know, LaToya, with so many kids in the family, you would think that there would be strength in numbers, that somehow you guys could all say, look, this is wrong, and we're going to do something about this.
It didn't matter. He had the power. But you don't, I think, to be very honest with you, I think my mother worked with my father. She was manipulative. I think that she just sort of the instigator who instigated him to do certain things. I'm not saying to instigate the sexual abuse. I don't know about that. But I do know that she knew that it occurred, that it happened. And she didn't leave him. She didn't try to stop him. She didn't do anything about it. Rebbie asked her to go get a psychiatrist for him, and she wouldn't. She asked for her to leave him. She would not.
The whole thing is so incredibly perverse. Did you hear what I said, LaToya? The whole thing is so incredibly perverse. It's so difficult to imagine this going on with the quintessential, happy, adorable, talented, all-American family.
Yes, it is. And that's a lot of people refuse to believe that this actually happened to our family. But what they don't understand is that we're no different. We suffered a great deal. We just happen to be in the eye of the public. And if I can speak out and help people, then please help yourself and speak out and don't remain silent about this matter.
All right, how do your brothers and sisters feel about this book and the fact that now all of this incredibly dirty laundry is public knowledge and very hurtful to them probably?
Tawny, I don't look at it as being dirty laundry.
Well,
I look at it as a healing method and trying to help others and hoping that my family can see the mistakes and what went on and understand.
Well, let me just explain what I mean by that. Obviously, for you, it is very healing, and with any luck at all, it will help other people to come out and speak about the trauma that they're going through. But maybe your brothers and sisters didn't want to go through this publicly. You made that decision for them by writing the book, and that's what I was referring to.
My brothers and sisters were in so much pain, and they suffer so much. You have no idea. This book, I think, is probably the best thing, whether they admit it or not, for them, because they can honestly say, it's out in the open now. We're tired of living this lie. So many times they would come home and cry. Why is it this way with us? Why can't we be happy? We have what we want, but we're not happy. All the time. This went on and on. And I'm not talking about kids. I'm talking about now. I'm talking about just a couple of years ago, before I left home.
The early out. The early out that many of you took with marriage, could you elaborate on that?
I'm sorry, can you repeat
Yes,
that?
the early out that many of you took, getting out of the family, was into marriages. Could you elaborate your own situation, how you got married so early?
Well, I didn't get married so early. I got married just recently, and it was because I was basically forced into getting married because of the kidnap attempts. But
explain the kidnap attempts,
right.
Because people who haven't read the book or read little excerpts don't understand what you're talking about.
Well, one of the associates that worked for my father, one of his employees, had come to us and said that my father, my parents, were going to kidnap me. And I thought it was the most outrageous, bizarre thing that I ever heard. Why would a parent try and kidnap a daughter? It's ridiculous. It's unheard of. It was true. They made several attempts, and they've almost succeeded in some of them. And the only way to prevent that was through marriage. And my manager said, if you marry me, they can no longer say this. I can hold this against them and file charges against them. Because if I were to do it, they would only say it's a family matter because they would have their lawyer there every time.
You're in a marriage that is strictly...
And their lawyer... Sorry?
You're in a marriage that is strictly a marriage of convenience, for safety's sake.
Convenience, yes. It's a name only.
I feel so sorry for you, LaToya, hearing all of this and then hearing about the marriage and wondering where it's all going to end.
But it's not just me, Tawny. It's my brothers and sisters who married the minute they graduated, just to get out the house.
Yeah.
And you have to remember, we lived in a household that a lot of them tried to commit suicide or talked about committing suicide because they rather died than to live in that type of situation, that environment. In my book, I don't elaborate who they were because I didn't want to infringe on their privacy because of their families.
Okay.
And the ones who weren't married.
There are so many issues to get into that you open up completely in the book. We thank you for sharing this part of your life with us. And the book is available now in the bookstores, I'm assuming. It is called Growing Up in the Jackson Family. You can read more about LaToya and the rest of the Jacksons. Thank you very much, LaToya.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.